Good evening, everyone. We'll now call this meeting of Fairfield County Council Wednesday, September 13, 2017 to order. First item of business is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Goins.
Yes, I move to approve the agenda with the exception of item A under new business.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the agenda with exception of item A under new business. Is there any discussion? Ms. Goins?
Mr. Chair, at this time, I would like to give an explanation for I would like to give an explanation for that, if I may. As many know, Council has been looking into the possibility of redevelopment of Mount Zion for the purpose of housing the county's administrative office. First and Main Development, a company with experience working on similar projects, was asked to assess the property and put together a proposal for the county detailing its possibilities, a potential time frame, and a price. First and Main demonstrated interest in this, but requested the county enter into a memorandum of understanding with them to specify a period of time they would have to perform their assessment and to have the county agree to exclusivity that the county wouldn't work with any other companies on the same project within the time frame agreed to. The memorandum was placed on a previous agenda and was proposed for the agendas for tonight's meeting. I would like to have that item A under new business, excluded from our agenda. However, as it has been brought to our attention that there is a perception out in the community that the county's signing of the memorandum would be a final decision, not accounting for all factors and interests involved, including but not limited to the cost, liabilities, and the Confederate Soldier Memorial statue near the property. That is not the case. We do intend to take these and other concerns into consideration before making any final decisions, but we don't want the perception to grow out of context and cause harm to any positive outcomes that the potential project could have. That said, I think we should explore other possibilities of how we could have an assessment of the building done without formalizing anything in a memorandum of understanding. Mr. Taylor had a conversation on this with First and Main today, and they expressed an openness to do this. So we can exclude this from our agenda and instead work on exploring other options and possibilities that may prevent and curtail any confusion about the intentions. And I thank the citizens who brought these concerns to us, to our attention, so that we could address them and hopefully find a better path forward that would demonstrate our taking everything into account before making any final decisions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Goins. Anyone else like to be heard on the motion to approve the agenda, with the exception of item A under new business? Seeing none, it's been moved and properly seconded. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. We're now down to the invocation. Councilmember Roof, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I'd like to pray for my wife's family and the loss of her brother this past week. Lord, I would like to thank you for sparing us in this tragic storm this past weekend. And we pray for all the victims of Hurricane Hugo and all the families who lost loved ones. This was such a huge tragedy. Lord, we ask that you guide and direct us as we make decisions concerning Fairfield County. We also pray that we continue to work together as council and citizens to unify our county and be a good example to others. We ask now that as we leave this place at the conclusion of this meeting, that you give us safe travel mercy back to our respective homes. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Roof. We're now down to the approval of minutes for the regular meeting August 28, 2017. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the minutes from the regular meeting August 28, 2017 as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. We're now down to public presentations. There are none. And Ms. Locklear, first public comment session, please.
We have one individual to speak tonight, Mr. Randy Bright, on VC Summer Field of Dreams.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. I understand the resolution to pursue the VC Summer nuclear plant. I truly do. And I truly wish it would happen for Fairfield. But I don't want to hang on to that dream for too long, because then we aren't going to move forward with what's really going to be the logical end result. That's natural gas and renewables. And I would hope, unlike your predecessors who made a $50 million extra bet on nuclear energy, you do your own research on the nuclear industry today. And I'll ask a rhetorical question, no need to answer. Do you know how many nuclear plants have been completed this century in the United States? Well, if you don't, then you need to do some research before you waste too much time pursuing the VC Summer plant. Let me tell you what it is. It's one. And that was opened for a period of 4 months and then went offline for 5 months and just now reopened. There's lots of headwinds ahead for us to get the VC Summer plant. Number one is we don't have anybody that wants to take on the project. I know, at least what we read, the state has offered it to many other facilities. They said, no thanks, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. We don't have a large enough utility in our state to be able to handle this project with enough rate subscribers. That's why Vogel is going ahead, but we don't have enough. To get an outside utility to do this is going to be very difficult. I'll give you an example. TVA, I think you're all familiar with TVA. They're having trouble with nuclear energy. They even recently sold an abandoned plant of nuclear energy. Largest utility in the South by far. They don't even want to handle nuclear energy. When you do your research, you see lots of articles. For example, 26 June 2016, Popular Mechanics found nuclear development in the United States today is slow, over budget, and economically untenable. Yale Press, from Europe to Japan to the United States, nuclear power is in retreat. Nuclear plants are being shuttered, governments move to renewables, and key companies are experiencing financial trouble. So we don't have anybody that wants it. TVA can't even handle it. Duke doesn't want it. Nobody can afford it. The estimate for completing the project from SCANA was $8 billion. Well, the smart individual will realize that SCANA's estimates, if you extract that out to their conclusion, is really $16 billion. Nobody can afford that. So don't wait on nuclear power too long. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now down, are we done? I think you said there was only one.
That concludes segment 1, yes.
We're now down to public hearings. There are none. And then item 8, ordinances, resolutions, and orders. Item A is a second reading for ordinance number 687. Ms. Locklear, if you would please read that.
An ordinance authorizing an amendment to the master agreement governing the I-77 Corridor Regional Industrial Park by and between Richland County, South Carolina, and Fairfield County, South Carolina, to expand the boundaries of the park to include certain real property located in Richland County, 209 Stone Ridge, LLC, and other related matters.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve second reading of ordinance number 687 as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Locklear. On to item B, first reading by title only, ordinance number 688. Ms. Locklear, if you'd please read that for us.
An ordinance authorizing Fairfield County to purchase .29 acre, more or less, situated on the western side of Highway 215, near Jenkinsville, South Carolina, in the county of Fairfield, tax map number 1760101077000, to be used for public safety or other uses deemed fit by the council and other related matters.
Thank you, Ms. Locklear. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to allow first reading by title only of ordinance number 688. There is no discussion because this is first reading. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? We're 7-0. Thank you. Down to item C, resolution number 2017-05. Ms. Locklear, if you would please read that for us.
A resolution by Fairfield County Council supporting the continued expansion of V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant in Fairfield County and opposing the decision to halt construction of the two planned nuclear reactors.
Second.
We have a little bit more of the resolution for the public's benefit if we just allow Ms. Locklear to read that, and then we'll take the motion.
Whereas nuclear power has proven to be a reliable and low-cost source of energy, providing baseload electricity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas nuclear energy has proven to be a safe energy alternative, with approximately 57% of the energy generated in our state coming from nuclear power plants. And whereas nuclear energy is clean and sustainable, accounting for approximately 64% of the nation's clean air electricity generation. And whereas nuclear power will allow us to lessen our reliance on other forms of electricity generation, resulting in significant reductions in CO2 levels in our state. And whereas the development of additional nuclear reactors capable of providing additional energy generation capacity would promote the safety and security of the United States. Whereas nuclear power promotes economic development by providing a reliable source of energy, as well as through the creation of much-needed jobs and tax revenues. Whereas Fairfield County has always been supportive of nuclear energy, as demonstrated by its continued commitment to the currently operational nuclear energy facilities at V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant. And whereas Fairfield County unequivocally supported the efforts of SCANA Corporation and Santee Cooper to construct 2 additional nuclear reactors at the V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant. And whereas the 2 additional nuclear reactors planned for the V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant would have provided much-needed increases to the tax base of Fairfield County. And whereas Fairfield County is a small rural county that seeks to create additional jobs, educational opportunities, and upgraded infrastructure for its citizens that will provide for this generation and beyond. And whereas the impact from the 2 additional nuclear reactors would be felt not only in Fairfield County but also statewide. And whereas the decision to halt construction of the 2 additional nuclear reactors was reached without any input whatsoever from Fairfield County, a loyal proponent of the construction project from its inception. And whereas the economic impact from this decision to stop construction of the 2 additional nuclear reactors at the V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant is almost impossible to calculate. And whereas Fairfield County Council supports the efforts of Governor McMaster and his staff to bring all necessary parties together to attempt to craft a resolution that would allow for the continued construction of at least 1 reactor at V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant. And whereas Fairfield County is concerned that relevant information regarding the construction of the 2 additional nuclear reactors at V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant was kept from necessary project stakeholders, including but not limited to Fairfield County. Now therefore, be it resolved by Fairfield County Council that Fairfield County Council requests that SCANA Corporation, Santee Cooper, the state of South Carolina, and the United States, along with all other parties, take all measures necessary to provide for the renewal of construction and completion of the 2 additional nuclear reactors at V.C. Summer Nuclear Plant without any potential legal intervention by Fairfield County on behalf of its citizens and taxpayers.
Thank you, Ms. Locklear. We have a motion?
Seconded.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve resolution number 2017-05 as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are 7-0. Now down to board and commission minutes. We'll do both of these at the same time unless anybody has anything they want to discuss individually about the minutes. Hospital Board and Library Commission. Do we have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the minutes for the Hospital Board and Library Commission as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? All right, we are 7-0 on that. Now we're on to board and commission appointments. There are none. Next is old business. There is none. And then new business, we have one item, authorizing the county administrator to execute a loan agreement between Fairfield County and Fairfield Behavioral Health Services. Do we have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded to authorize the county administrator to execute a loan agreement between Fairfield County and Fairfield Behavioral Health Services. Before we do discussion, I just, for the public's benefit, ask Mr. Taylor if you would please explain.
Yes. During the budget process, County Council had a request from Behavioral Health Services to fund or help fund the construction of a new facility that they're doing. They have some funding from the state through a grant, but they needed additional funding to complete the project. The request was made for $500,000 to be given to them. Instead of it being directly given to behavioral health, we are doing it in the form of a loan, and this is done to protect the money that the county is giving to them in case something should happen, such as behavioral health should sell the building. Then we could request that the loan be called and we get our money back. And if they fail to successfully provide behavioral health services, if we think they have a good staff in place now, but should something change and services really decline, then we could put pressure on them to improve those services by requesting this loan if need be. But as long as they are providing services and maintain the building, then the loan could be forgiven after a period of time.
Any discussion from council members? All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? 7-0. We're now down to the county administrator's report. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, a few items tonight. We have Ms. Barbara Mack listed to talk to us about the September 17th opening of the recreation, but I think we do have Ms. Lori Schaefer here, and she'll be talking about it tonight. But if you could come up, Ms. Schaefer, and brief council on what's planned for the grand opening.
Good evening. We're going to have our grand opening at the Jenkinsville Recreation Community Center this Sunday at 2 p.m. That'll be, I feel so short, at Lake Monticello, and the address there is 7104 State Highway 215. We have planned a lot of little demonstrations and extra activities for everybody. We're going to have a few of our coaches come out and do some soccer demonstration, some football demonstration. We have our Taekwondo instructor who's going to come out and do a demonstration for that, as well as our soul line dancing instructor. She's going to come out. We ask that we utilize the whole park. People come and explore the walking trail, the outlook, the overlook, the fishing dock, everything that we have available at that facility. We will have hot dogs, drinks, cookies available for everybody in attendance, and we will then go through some of the programs that we are hoping to have, as well as the hours and how our rentals will be conducted. So we ask that everybody come on out and join us 2 o'clock this Sunday at the Lake Monticello site. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you very much.
Next, we do have, when we have listed Mike Tanner, but we do not have Mike Tanner tonight, but we have his deputy director, Ms. Anna Rose, who will be updating council on the interoperability project that that council funded last year and that we're implementing.
I'm Anna Rhodes. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, we implemented the new radios, and with that, and with the 2 additional towers we put up, we haven't been able to find any dead area. And also, we have 100% interoperability with all of the agencies at this point in time.
As council is aware, this is the service that we're contracting with Rock Communications to provide. We had looked at several providers, and we went with Rock, and we have been very satisfied with the service they provided. As far as coverage, and again, the cost that they came in was exceptional also. Questions?
Anybody have any questions on the interoperability and the new radios? Ms. Goins.
How you
yes.
doing? Thank you so much. Just for the sake of all of us, could you just do a little more detailing on what they're about?
about the radios itself?
Yes,
and
what
the
they do
capability?
and
Well, before we had issues trying with different agencies and being able to speak with different agencies, and we also had areas that were not covered with the radios. And once we put up the new towers and we've got radios for all the different agencies, we can speak with all the different agencies and anytime we need to. So.
In the past, our coverage was, what, 40 to 60%
Yes,
at best?
At best. There were areas on the lake, all up and down the lake, up around Blair, Jenkinsville, Greenbrier, that you just could not speak with. And now we have 100%. We have yet to be able to find an area that we cannot speak on with a mobile and with a walkie-talkie.
What I understand, even outside the county, we have
Even
coverage.
outside the county, we can actually talk to every hospital that we transport to once we get there and when we leave. So,
thank
Vast
you.
improvement.
Good.
thank
That's
you.
fantastic. Thank you.
Question?
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. And then the last item I had was the CDBG needs assessment. Each and every year, in order to qualify for CDBG Community Development Block Grants, which we always try to pursue, we do have to meet the qualification, do a needs assessment. So you should, each council member should see that needs assessment form before them. You're welcome to distribute. Stephen, with our grants department, will be distributing those, and we do have to collect them, and we'll be coming back to you with a report on what we find from that needs assessment when we survey the community, and we'll report that to you when we're complete.
All right.
That's all I have.
Any questions on that or anything for the administrator? All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. We're now down to clerk to council's report. Don't believe there is any. Ms. Locklear. And then second public comment session. Ms. Locklear, if you would please read those names for us.
We have 6 individuals to speak. First, Mr. David Brandenburg on Mount Zion.
Thank you, David Brandenburg, District 7. It would have been nice to have these radios when I was a cop. Mount Zion, it's going to be a big project. Cost a lot financially. Back in the 90s, I was in that building. We used to have to chase kids out. Upstairs, it's like walking on a trampoline. It's going to be major money. Money we don't have. VC Summer's gone defunct on the new plant. We don't have the, what y'all call it, fee in lieu of taxes. They're on hold. We have nothing coming in. Nothing but that big loan that was taken out. You know, needs to be turned back in. What's not being spent. And please, all of you are intelligent people. We don't need to be spending on this loan. We need to turn it back until we find out what's going to happen to VC Summer. I don't remember the new name, Uniroyal plant, going defunct unless somebody buys it, last I heard. That's money to the county from there. We don't have anything in this county. This county's dying. You know, open your eyes. The county's dying. We don't need to spend anything on anything until we get a handle on whether we're going to be able to pay it back. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all listening, but please, I ask you, please stop spending on anything until we get a handle. If you want to go through with Mount Zion, then will be the time to take it up. But you don't need to spend anything on any kind of studies or money or whatever until we get a handle on how much we got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Miss Yvette Howard on MOU.
Good evening, council, citizens. I am here to speak this evening concerning the memorandum of understanding that the county has with First and Main. I heard at the beginning of this meeting that you're going to look into that a little more before putting it into effect. But I think that we need to, first of all, look at our needs and priorities. We have a lot of things that we could be working on rather than the project that you have explained here so far. A lot of what has been said, I understand in listening to you that there's a lot of misunderstanding, misinformation. Well, the way to clear that up is to put everything out there in the beginning. Explain why this project is needed. Explain why it is needed at this location and at this time when it is causing so much divisiveness in our communities. The need for First and Main to conduct this study. We all know that we have a couple of economic development studies already that's been put on the shelf, paid a lot of money for it, but nothing that's been done with it so far. Last year, I heard of the plans the council passed to build a new courthouse on Congress Street in Winsboro. You know, what is happening with that? You know, why all of a sudden do we need to do this new project when we haven't completed the ones that we have already done studies on instead of moving forward with them? We need to do things, and I say we because all of you are representing us. We need to do things that that will improve the quality of life issues for our citizens, such as economic development and growth, which translates into jobs, health care, decent, affordable housing. If we can get grants, you know, to do this and do that, you know, why can't we put our energies and help our community organizations get grants that will improve the quality of life of our citizens? There's still a need to help improve our education. I know we've heard a lot recently about how education has been improving in the county, but there's still a lot of room that we can improve that. Move ahead with sewage. Some of our rural areas especially do not have adequate sewage for our citizens. Again, that would improve the health and the quality of life of everybody. Again, before you just come before us and put things on the board, we are going to do this and we're going to do that. Come to us and explain to us why it's needed.
Ms. Howard, thank you very much. I'm sorry we've expired on the time. Thank you very much for your comments.
Be back.
Next, Ms. Nancy Hoy, speaking on the MOU.
My name's Nancy Hoy. I'm from District 6. I came here to speak in favor of the Mount Zion project, and I was actively involved in trying to preserve it a few years ago. I'm no longer in the know of what's going on. My father was once mayor of this town, and sometimes you have to spend money in order to make things better. I don't support building a new courthouse. Part of, and probably the only thing that is going to save our downtown businesses is the historic character of this town. And that campus is the crowning jewel of this town. The town was founded in 1784. That school was there before that. It educated legislatures, people who signed the Constitution. It has the largest auditorium between here and Charlotte. There have been some good plans made for it, and I've been talking to Pelham Lyles, and she's who got me here just a few days ago, so I don't feel very prepared for what's going on here. But from what she's telling me, this survey is being done by a nonprofit and is not going to cost the county anything. And in my opinion, that building could be renovated and used temporarily for the administrative offices, as you've said tonight, for much less than building a new courthouse. And I'd hate to see our courthouse replaced because it, again, is a historic building and part of the historic character of this town. My father actually took a great deal of flack for moving that monument where it is. My father took a great deal of flack for putting the town of Winsboro into debt to bring gas here. But we'd have no industry if he hadn't done that. He signed bonds for millions of dollars back in the 60s, the early 60s, in order to get gas here. And if he hadn't done it, we'd have nothing and no prospect of anything here. So sometimes you do have to put money into a project in order to improve things. And I think this is a worthwhile project if done right, that auditorium could be developed into something that would bring people into this town and spend money on Main Street and revive our economy. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Jeff Schaefer, speaking on entertainment.
Before you start the clock, maybe we ought to listen to what those three people just said.
We have to start the clock, Mr. Schaefer. I apologize.
That's okay. Go ahead and start. Because tonight I'm going to entertain you. Because what I have here is something not often seen in public. I'm about to pull it out and show y'all. Don't panic. I got it in my hand and under control. Yes, I'll bet you thought I was going to show you something else. But this is it. It's a crystal ball. Y'all see it? This is not a mere ball. This is a Dixie ball. And this Yankee is going to translate because it speaks Yankee. So hang on. This is the official ball. And while you can get one, you probably can't see through it. And mostly it takes effort and wisdom. This crystal ball is what's commonly known, of course, as the Dixie ball. What it says is this: don't be fooled by slick words from CEOs who will tell you everything you want to hear and nothing you should be hearing. I think that's definitely related to the hospital. But wait, the ball's getting a little cloudy. Maybe the ball is trying to show us a piece of property on I-77. Wait, I see a huge sign. Says, stop! Are you out of your mind? We have more industrial parks than any other county, probably in the United States, and you can't fill one of them up. We have 4, and they're partially filled, and we want to buy some more on I-77. We just lost Walmart and some other names that I can't remember so quickly because they come and go so quick. Now, SCE&G has pulled a now you see me, and now you don't trick on us. The ball wants me to relate a little advice. As someone just said, don't spend more than you have and save a little more than you expected for emergencies. Whoops, the ball is fading, but it has one more comment. The fire department has been blowing smoke up. Dixie thinks it's time you might want to find a replacement. Sometimes when you do the same thing year in and year out, you sort of get used to failure. I think it's telling me that success is not an explanation or an excuse. It's a fact. And you can see it in black and white on the bottom line of the department P&L. Well, that's it. Oh yes, Dixie wants me to tell you all, bless your hearts and thank you for your undivided attention.
Right back at you, Mr. Schaefer. Thank you.
Next, Ms. Shirley Green, speaking on the MOU.
Shirley Green, District 2, Ridgeway. I'm very pleased tonight to come to council and to hear that you have pulled the discussion of the MOU. I think that essentially what you've done is you've listened to the citizens of Fairfield County, and that's the most important thing that you can do in your jobs. You can basically listen to the citizens and what they have to say. I'm sure each of you was happy, as I, to imagine that all things we would be able to do for the county with an estimated budget of $80 million. Well, as you're aware, things have changed. Thus, as prudent caretakers of the county's resources, we have to reassess our priorities from our original prosperity budget to our current austerity budget. Taxpayers need to be assured that we're making wise decisions given the decrease in our estimated income. Specifically, with the loss of 5,650 jobs, economic development becomes our #1 priority. Thus, we have to apply our resources to improving our infrastructure in order to attract viable industries with good-paying jobs. Water and sewer infrastructure, already budgeted, should be a priority. Paying for whatever bills we owe in terms of what was done in payment in lieu of taxes should certainly be paid back, or if unused, should go back in, should be repaid. Contributions to the new 24-hour emergency care facility that you've already committed to. EMS services, fire services, maintenance, salary increases for the people we've talked about in the past, first responders, police officers, communication equipment, and other needs are some of the worthwhile projects that we need to prioritize and pursue. So I appreciate the fact that you have taken off of the agenda a very controversial topic. I know that you probably need to do some maintenance and other kinds of things on the building here, and you have to look at things in the future. But I ask that you really take a clear look. Do not think that everything that shines is gold. Please, I think that we have a lot to do and a lot of discussions to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Randy Bright speaking on communication.
Randy Bright, District 1, Ridgeway. A lot of great speeches tonight, and for the most part, I certainly agree with them, as the focus should be much more narrow now than we've had in the past. And I also agree, our #1 priority, no one would disagree with me, certainly not the last 6 strategic plans that I've seen from this century. Jobs and the economy are priority 1. And that should be a major focus on our expenditures and our planning. Do these items create jobs, good jobs, and will they improve our economy? And will they create velocity? In order to create velocity, you've got to have people live here. And referencing those previous 6 or so strategic plans, one of our biggest problems is we can't get people to live here. We're one of the few counties in the state where our population is declining. Of course, that goes hand in hand. You got to have jobs to get people to live here, and you got to have other things also to get people to live here. So you've got a dual purpose, and you've got lots of plans, including the latest one, to help guide you. And I don't mind you investing in something to create jobs. I think that's as good an investment as you can make. And everything revolves around jobs and the economy, and that propels our quality of life. A couple of tips that I would add to you, and it goes back to my topic earlier this morning, but again, don't linger on nuclear power, and not all that information in the resolution was exactly correct, by the way, but look forward, try it, but don't linger on this. Let's move forward, because renewables and natural gas, we can get those in here more cheaply, they're more reliable, and far less deadly than nuclear power. Also, keep up your communication. I've seen a great expansion of Facebook page and really great job of communication, but we can do a better job. For example, we had our recreation captain here tonight. Let's get recreation on board with a Facebook page so we can communicate what's going on with the recreational community. And I would urge the public, and which I've done already, when we get these, join the Facebook page for Fairfield County and also the Sheriff's Department. Both of them have some great information about what's going on in our county. I would highly recommend join and share these with all your friends and neighbors and get them to share this so the whole county can be informed of what's going on. You guys do your part, we'll do our part, and you will have heard the last complaint about communication, I guarantee you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
That concludes segment 2.
All right, we are now down to county council time. Would any council members like to be recognized to speak? Mr. Douglas.
I'd like to ask the county to consider maybe donating some money to the Red Cross for the storms for Texas and Florida, and probably need some help in South Carolina too, because they had some pretty substantial damage down in Garden City, Hilton Head, and Beaufort. Walmart will triple a donation if it's given to Walmart, and see if maybe the Red Cross could take the money to them and see if they'd triple it if we donated some money to them. I plan on giving, and if the county let me know when they're going to give, I'll write a check and send it right along with that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mrs. Goins.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank, good evening, I want to thank all citizens for being here on today. And there has been a lot of controversy concerning the Mount Zion project. And many of the items I said before, many of the things that the citizens you are concerned about, the team is already aware of, and they're working on economic development, water and sewer, those things that we're already working on. But the Mount Zion project became a great controvery. And I think the misunderstanding first was the site itself, and I have to bring it, to the forefront because that is a problem with the monument being there. I went up and I took a look, and the monument is not on the actual property. And it's not that I'm being insensitive to anything, because I, more than probably some of you, recognize the passage of history and things that I've experienced in my life. But I said to someone before, we cannot allow well, I have to speak for myself. I won't allow a history monument, or the way I said it, I said I won't allow a stone that has no life, no value, no purpose, and no future to interrupt what we need to do here in Fairfield County. Our job, our task as people, as a team, is to meet the needs of the citizens in this county, to grow this county. And things have happened in history, and there will be other things that happen now that a generation will come after us, and they will confront. I hear you say about putting priorities in order. When we put our priorities in order, that means that there are things that happen we have to forgive, we have to pass by in order to move forward. There's no definite decision made on Mount Zion. I haven't gotten to that. It's only a process of assessment. But if it were to get to that point, and it were feasible that we could actually do an administrative building there that would have office buildings in there, which creates jobs, which creates opportunities, I will tell you for sure, I don't know about anybody else, I'm speaking for myself, I will support that. I went to behavioral health services. They are groundbreaking. And I know there was 15 years they said that they met challenges that they had to go through to get to where they were. Everything comes with a challenge, with a sacrifice, with commitment. And we're going to have to get that mindset if we're going to move forward. There's going to be sacrifice, there's going to be commitments, there's going to be faults, there's going to be faults. Nothing will ever work out just perfect, but we have to keep trying. We're not holding on to VC Summers, but that's a process, something that we have to attend to. But while we're doing that, let's get the mindset to move forward. There's still needs. No, we keep saying what we don't have. Won't get it. I commend the lady for saying it. You can't get anything if you don't spend money. That's just bottom line. And yes, we have administrators, deputy administrative people that are really diligent about our finances. But as far as the Mount Zion project, behavioral health, the apartments that the superintendent wants to do, whatever helps the citizens of this county, whatever moves, brings in an influx, because every time people come in, businesses, follow people. And that's the only way we're going to do it. So we have to be doing something to get somebody. We have to be doing something to get something. We can't hold still and expect it to happen by osmosis. So we're going to have to be very active in that. But I will support, if that project comes through and it is feasible, it is financially feasible, it does help, and we'll go through the process and we'll keep you informed. If it does, I will support it. If we need to use another property and it's feasible and it's financially feasible, I will support that. Any other projects coming up, and it does not matter to me who's doing it as long as we better Fairfield County and the citizens in this county. I was brought up meeting the need. That's it, and that's what's in me. I'm brought up meeting the need. Our greatest service we can give is to others. The greatest sacrifice we can make is for somebody else. So it's not always how we see things. It's about meeting the need of others. So I thank you for your comments, and I just want to let you know where I stand on that. But whatever it takes to move Fairfield County forward, for the young people, for our seniors, or whatever, I'm going to support it, because my thing always is going to be to meet the need of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Goins. Mr. Roof.
Yeah. I have two concerns on talking about the Mount Zion issue, and I've talked to a number of different people concerning this. One is the financial impact in light of our financial condition now with the nuclear plant apparently in the state we're in, and the other one is the monuments. And I don't even know if I remember ever seeing them, but I'm aware of them, and I'm sensitive to that. So my thing is that if there's no cost in doing the research to look into the cost study of this possibility, I'm okay with doing that if it's no cost to county just to look at it. But I'm also wanting us to do a study on this building to see what the costs are going to be to repair this building. You know, if we had those millions of dollars coming, that's a different thing. But I really think that we have to be frugal with our money. And another thing, and I've said this and I'll stick to it, if it were to go forward, and from my understanding on this Mount Zion project, since it's an independent contractor, they can apply for grants that we can't apply for. So building a new building versus repairing the Mount Zion building, it could possibly be cheaper. So we don't know until we really look into it and see what that outcome is. But I won't be in favor of going forward with the Mount Zion project unless we can get an agreement contingent on the monuments being moved to another location. And I just feel it's a very important issue, and it concerns a lot of people, and it concerns me. And I think we have a great county, and I want to keep it that way, and I want everybody to live and work together, and let's all get along. And maybe, you know, if it were, I don't have any idea, it may cost so much money that it's way out of line and we need to stay here, or we need to do something different. But I just think, you know, we could maybe be an example by doing things together and making things work in a good way. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Roof. Mr. Robinson.
Citizens, first of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for their concerns and their issues with the MOU moving forward. My two concerns are the same as other two councilmen, is finances and the monument also. I walked past the monument as a child and never really paid any attention when I went to the school. But rest assured that finances is first and foremost. If it's not right, we're not going to go forward. Secondly, I have a question. I'm not sure if Mr. Taylor or Mr. Anderson know this. Were there ever any plans for a courthouse? Did we ever possess any plans for a courthouse on Main Street?
If I may address that, because Mr. Taylor, I don't think was here at the time. Were you here when you
first started? I was. I think you all had started, and then I had picked up on it. But I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, okay. Well, I appreciate that. Mr. Robinson, I'll just say that what we looked into doing, and I was opposed to it at the time, but I'll just be real with you as you know, we try to operate sometimes. I think some of the previous council members just wanted to get their say in on it before they were gone. I don't think there was any reason for us to do it at the time that we were doing it, but that's what the wishes of council were at the time. Within those confines, what we did was seek out a company to do the work with. So we never had any concrete plans, anything of that nature. We just, based on the you know, past record of the firms that we looked at, the projects they'd worked on, what they presented to us, that's how we made a decision just on who to work with when we go forward.
So there was never any hard out drawn plans? That's
correct.
Okay. I just wanted that answered because you always hear rumors that it was planned, so I just wanted that answered. And secondly, Mr. Taylor, I know we have the needs assessment for each individual district. What I would like to do is maybe have you get with the city, mayor, maybe try to work up some type of ordinance for us to work together as far as community development and code enforcement. It's in the future, but I think it's definitely needed, especially with these needs assessments coming out.
We do have a plan that we will be presenting at the committee meeting coming up shortly on that.
Mr. Anderson, did you have something?
Yes, I do. Just to be totally transparent and make sure we cover everything, there were plans for the HUN building to be transformed into a courthouse. But because it's not in the county seat, that was not a foregone project. But we have never got plans for one downtown. And that way it won't be misinformation given out. It was plans for the HUN building to be transformed.
And that building we don't own, we just lease.
It's leased, correct.
And it has relatively high estimates on it for temporary space.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification on it because, like I said, you hear that we have hard plans. I just wanted to clarify it.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Anderson, for clarification there. I'd completely forgotten about that. Do we have any other council members wishing to be heard? All right. That being said, we are now down to executive session. Just like to make the following statement and say that it is provided in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Subsequent to executive session, council may take action on matters discussed in executive session. We've got two items for tonight: receipt of legal advice, review of potential litigation, and other legal options regarding SCANA's planned abandonment of the proposed VC Summer new nuclear units in Jenkinsville, as well as the discussion of matters relating to the proposed provision of services encouraging the location and expansion of industries and other businesses within the county. And this is a discussion with regional partners concerning the provision of water and sewer services as a means to make Fairfield County more attractive to investing industries and businesses. Do we have a motion? It's been moved and properly seconded that council do go into executive sessions for the two items as stated. Those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. We're now in executive session.